Hi, hello, welcome back to the channel. So I am here for a shorter video than normal, probably today, so like only 5-10 minutes at most. And I'm going to be talking about a surprise announcement, which is that this month we're going to be doing a themed reading challenge on the channel, which is Self-Pub September. So all month I'm going to be reading only self-pub books. I'm not particularly like they don't have to be fantasy, which is my main genre. I have chosen several fantasy novels to read. I've got 2 confirmed reads, and I can tell you what those are because number 1, I've already started The Way of Edan by Philip Chase, and that's the first book for Self-Pub September. If I love The Way of Edan, then maybe I will read the next 2 books in the Edan Trilogy, which I don't actually know the name of off the top of my head, and I don't have notes because I'm not sat on my desk anymore. So I'm pretty certain one of them is The Prophet of Edan, and the next one is Return to Edan, or Return to Edan, I think. So if I really love The Way of Edan, like 5-star read, love it, I'll read the next 2, like literally back to back, because that's when I am really in love with a series. That's the only way I can read it. You've seen that with the Cahill books. I read Of Darkness and Light, The Exile, Of War and Ruin, literally back to back. So if I do love it, I will read the next 2. If I like it, don't love it, then I will still read the next 2, but not right away. What this happened with Robin Hobb's books is that I forced myself through them all in the same way that I would if they were... Okay, so we'll come back to Robin Hobb another time, but I forced myself to go straight from Ship of Magic to Mad Ship, and really, even though I loved Ship of Magic, I kind of needed a break. So if I feel like I need that break, then I'll take that break. However, I am 3 chapters in and really enjoying The Way of Edan so far. So it's likely that I will go straight on to the next books. I do already have them through Kindle Unlimited, so I'll be reading those through, the next 2 through Kindle Unlimited, because I probably don't have enough time to wait for the post for them to arrive if I buy physical editions. The final book is actually only out on the 20th, so that gives me, 20 days to read The Way of Edan and the second one if I want to read all 3. On the 23rd, we've got a special event this month, which is a brand new Bound and the Broken novella, The Ice by Ryan Cahill. Now, I've talked a lot about Ryan Cahill. I feel like I don't need to overstate that I love Ryan Cahill's books, and I'm really excited to read the next novella. I did actually finish Of War and Ruin since we last spoke, which is why I started Way of Edan. So if you want to know my thoughts on Of War and Ruin, I'm going to record a review. I'm going to record it today, I think. But I'm not going to publish it until I've done the reviews for the other books in the series. So you might be waiting a few days to see what I thought of War and Ruin, but I'll spoil it for you now and say that I was pretty much in love with it. I think it's the best book I've read this year. I would probably say that it is as close to a 6-star Goodreads review book that I've ever read. It's not the best book I've ever read. Maybe I don't know, I think I've got time I'll need some like real genuine time to like think on that one, but it's definitely one of my favourite reading experiences. But we'll come back to it. So I have The Way of Edan is my first book for Self-Pub September. Then the other guaranteed book for the month is going to be the Ice, as I said, by Ryan Cahill. I've got a few other self-pub books that I'm interested in reading. So Andrew Watson, who's another booktuber that I follow, also wrote a book, which is called Harbinger of Justice. It sounds really interesting. It's got like a desert sort of theme. So we don't see enough of like kind of Middle Eastern desert style environments in fantasy. So I'm definitely interested in giving that one a shot. The Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews Discord recently read Gunmetal Gods, and I was going to join that buddy read, so bought the book and bought the audiobook so that I could switch between the two, which I don't love doing most of the time, but I thought that would be a good way to get those daily chapters in, is to listen to an audiobook while I'm out for a run or driving somewhere. I ended up not getting into the audiobook at all, but there's no reason why I wouldn't read the novel. So Gunmetal Gods by Zamil Akhtar is also on my possibilities list. This isn't a very good TBR video because I'm pretty much a mood reader, and I'm one of those readers who will start reading something and be like, I love this so much, I want to read everything this author has written, or every book in this series, for example. So it's going to be hard for me to plan these sorts of TBRs. However, yeah, 2 books nailed down, which is Way of Edan and The Ice, and then there's a few possibilities. So further Edan novels, the Gunmetal Gods. I've also heard a lot of good about The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wang, and finally I have heard a lot of really good stuff about Illborn by Daniel T. Jackson, which I believe is self-published. I probably should have looked that up before making this video. If you have some self-published books that you think that I should read this month, especially if they're on Kindle Unlimited, that would be rude. I would love to hear your recommendations, so please pop them down in the comments. The other thing that I was going to say is, so I primarily read fantasy. I love genre fiction, so fantasy, science fiction, but I don't really get enough sci-fi recommendations because all the booktubers that I follow are really big into fantasy and don't really talk too much about sci-fi. So if you have a really good self-published sci-fi that you think I should read, that will get top priority this month in any free space that I have. So please comment down below with any self-published sci-fi that you're a big fan of, because I want to read more sci-fi. So if I get that recommendation, then I'll be able to. But I tend to look for book recommendations from the people that I currently already follow, and just none of them are really talking about self-published sci-fi. So if you are a big sci-fi fan and you have a self-published sci-fi series that I have to read, let me know. One more possibility before we end the video. There is another possibility, which is that I will read on with the Cradle series. So I've read Unsold, the first book, and I started the second one, but put it down because I felt like that second book started in kind of a boring place. So I put it down for something that I was more interested in and have never picked it back up. And that was 2 or 3 months ago now. But there's an absolute possibility that I will read on with that because I do own the entire Cradle series bar the final book. I also own Will Wight's sci-fi, which I think, I want to say it's called The Captain or something like that, which people did say was very good. So that could be added to the self-pub September if I don't get any sci-fi comments. But again, please drop your recommendations down below, because I am seeing the same self-pub fantasy novels come up again and again and again. And yes, that means they're good, but it'd be really lovely to be able to read and review something that is not that commonly discussed on booktube. So give me a shout in the comments and I will try and see if I can read any of the books that you recommend. Thanks again for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.